Hi guys, welcome to Coding Filler. This is a part of our API development series. And if you have not watched part 1 to 3, please, I encourage you to do so that we're able to catch up with us in this part 4. In those parts, especially in part 3, we look at implementing JWT token to application, whereby when the user log in, the application will generate JWT token. And in this part 4, we'll be looking at how we can make use of this JWT token to protect our endpoint, and we'll also be looking at how we can exempt some endpoint from being protected by decorating the controller or the method with allow anonymous. So the first thing I will do here is to stop the application from running, right? So I'll go to my account controller. Now don't forget that in part 3 we have written the logic to generate our JWT token, and after being generated, we call the generate JWT token in our account service. We call this generate JWT token in our login method from our account service, and which is this, and then we are returning the token back to the user. And the next thing is to protect our endpoint with this JW token, or the next thing is to protect our endpoint with authorized attributes. And how can we do that? Go to your account controller, go to the top root of your controller, and then call this method. We call this class authorize, right? Having done that, so let's test the application. Yeah, the app is up. Let's go to Postman to test this out. Right, so let's assume that I want to log in now, right? So just click on login endpoint. So I'm getting you are not authorized. Don't forget that we implemented this in our part 3, right? Let's try, let's call this create account endpoint as well, right? Let's see what we'll get. You are not authorized, and this you are not authorized is coming from our implementation. Right, so for just a quick recap, right, go to your Solution Explorer, then you click on Service Collection, right? So all this was implemented in our part 3 of this series, right? So this you are not authorized, you are currently getting is coming from here, right? You are not authorized. That means that the application has been protected, and if you did not provide a valid JWT token to the header, right, you will not be able to access this application. And the reason why we are getting this or you are not authorized is because we have decorated the controller with authorized attributes. However, you don't need to decorate that the whole controller. For example, to create an account, right? So user need to be able to get into application before they'll be able to provide the authorization header. What we are going to do here is to decorate this guy with allow anonymous. So this simply means that you are accepting this user. This simply means that you are accepting this endpoint from being validated with JWT token, right? So the same thing will apply the same thing to login endpoint, because user that does not have access to the application will not be able to generate JWT token, right? Let's just stop the application or just restart the application and let's test again, right? You see that user will be able to register a new user. All right, the app is up and running. So let's go to our Postman. Let's try to create a new user, right? So don't forget that we are currently getting you are not authorized before we decorate the create endpoint with allow anonymous. This simply means that you want to be able to allow anonymous access to that particular endpoint, right? Let's call it again. All right, so there's a breakpoint on that endpoint. All right, so this is it, and then I'll just click on continue. All right, registration successful. So let's try to register the same user again. User already exists, right? So let's do the same thing with login. Let's try to log into the application. Right. So we cannot have access to the application. And the reason why we are able to access the application is because we decorated the endpoint with allow anonymous. Now let's go and create another endpoint, and then we are going to decorate. We are not going to decorate that with allow anonymous, and then let's see how this stageability token works in action. Stop the application from running. Right. So let's quickly create another method. Like, let's try to fetch record from the database, right? Public async task, right? Return type service response, right? And then you pass the return type. For now, let's pass dynamic, right? All right. So give it get or record or users, all right? Get all users, right? Service response equals to new service, beg your pardon, new service response, right? Return type is going to be dynamic, right? Let's introduce our try catch, right? And then return service response. All right, so this exception, let's take care of it, right? You don't throw exception. What you do is to let's bring in our logger here, like private read only high logger, right? So can service opacity, just copy this, right? All right, so we have our logger injected into our constructor, right? So what we do here is to bring in this logger dot log error, right? Okay, what do you want to log? Then let's say error occur while fetching all users. Or instead of while fetching, let's change it to while calling all users, while calling get all user rather, right? So then you are going to deserialize the error message ex at ex, then comma a exception. All right. So what I'm going to do now is to fetch the record from the database, which is coming from our, let's call our DB context, app DB context, Do we have our DB context here? Okay, so let's bring in our DB context class. Private read only. Have DB context. All right, the context then. All right, then inject into a constructor. Okay. Equals to have DB context. So having done that, we'll be able to call our have DB context from here. Have DB context dot users, right, dot as no tracking. So this as no tracking will just ignore the change tracking, right? Because just like a read only dot to list, beg your pardon, to list async, all right? So you do this file is user assist, or which other variable that's you like, or that fits what you are developing, right? So if that case, right, now we check if there is record in the database. If is user assist, it is no, right? Okay, want to return service response dot message equals to no record found, right? Right, service response, I beg your pardon, service response dot status code equals to, that's going to be no content int. Then you cast your message, cast your HTTP status code dot no content, right? Then return the service response. All right, no scale because that code is 204, right? So you don't have to cram all the HTTP status code. So if you don't know it offhand, so what we just do is to call HTTP status class, then you be able to get whatever status code you want to return, right? If it is no, return this, and if there is record, I'm just going to copy this, right? Paste it here. No record found. No record found. I'm just going to change this message to successful, right? Right, so change this to okay, which is without okay. Then the last one here is going to be service response dot data equals to is user assist. All right. Right, so let's grab this. take it to account service interface, right? Paste it here so I'll be able to inject it into a account controller, right? we'll be able to access it from our account controller. So the next thing to do here is to grab this, copy this, just duplicate it, right? Paste like this. Then take out this allow anonymous, and then what's the name of the method? The method is get all users. Going to copy this, right? Replace this with get all user, and then the name of the method as well, get all users, and then the name of the endpoint, get all users. So it doesn't take any parameter. Take this out, right? Take the payload objects out as well. Right, having done that, I think yes, let's just test it. We'll save, then put a breakpoint on your account service, and then on this method, get all user, put a breakpoint there. All right, let's run the application. All right, the app is running. Go to your Postman. Right, so let's duplicate this login. Duplicate. Change this to the name of the method. All right, this is second time. I don't know what's wrong with this Postman. Right, so let's let's add a new request. Click add request. All right, so get all users. All right, so just copy the base URL. Get all users. So it's going to be get request. Then the name of the method. The name of the method. Let's go to the account computer. Then copy this. Get all user. Oh, there's a mistake here. Let's stop the application from running. This is supposed to be a get request, not a post. Change this to HTTP get, right? HTTP get. All right, so let's run the application again. All right, so replace this with the name of the method, which is get all users, right? Then click on send. Let's fire it. Right, you are not authorized, right? Because the endpoint wasn't part of the endpoint that we allow anonymous. Right, look at it, right? We allow anonymous on login, we allow anonymous on create account. So this, it means that this authorized automatically apply to this guy is expecting a JWT token to be passed to the header based on our configuration settings from here, right? So that's why we are getting this. You are not authorized, right? Okay, so what we'll do now is to go to our Postman, right? Then let's go login first. The first thing is to log into our application, so that it will generate a JWT token for us to be able to access the application. A JWT token has been generated, then copy it, right? So go to the base collection, then go to authorization, then select bearer token, then paste the token here, right? So remove this, right? Paste the token right, save, then go to your request and authorization. So it's already set to inherit out from parents. So now let's call this endpoint now. We should be able to access it now, right? So all right, so the request is here. So let you step over, step over, step over, step over. All right, step over. Let's check, is there any record? right? So, we have to record from database row. Don't forget we have a check here to check if the record is null. In this case, if the record is not null, we have record. Then continue, right? We have record. All right. So if you notice that we are returning all the data coming directly from the database, which is a bad practice. You don't return password like this. You don't return all the sensitive information coming from the database. What we are going to do now is to return only what we need, right? Let's quickly create an object to map this guy. All right. Stop the application from running. Stop the application from running, right? So go to your solution explorer, right? Under your DTO folder, or just let's quickly create another folder. Right click, add folder, just give it a name. Let's say we have your responses, right? Responses folder. Inside responses folder, right click, right? Create a class. So we can also just give it a name. Let's say create or update user response. All right, so use this same class to determine what will return to the user when we are also updating the class, or updating the record. So what we want to return is, let's probably return properties, right? We are going to return only the user ID string. Don't forget our user ID is a guild, so it's going to be string ID. Duplicate this. First name, last name, and probably email, depend on what you are building and what you want to return to the user, right? Just copy this guy, change this to record, right? Copy this, let's go to your account service, right? So instead of dynamic, replace this with this. However, don't forget that it's work because we are using dynamic type, and this dynamic type run on the runtime, execute on the runtime, right? So because we are returning list of users, right? So we're going to change this guy to list. Look at it, it's now pointing error, right? Cannot implicitly convert this type is a generic list to this, right? Because they do not match. What we're going to do is to change this back to list, wrap this guy with list. All right, so this will also be a list. All right, so the error should having done that, copy this, right? So replace it with what we have now, interface, so they will match. Right, having done that, go back to the account service. So what is happening here now is, because this is coming from the user entity, right? We have all this from the user entity, right? So it does not match what we are currently returning. What we are going to do now is to return this guy, right? It's going to be this. All right, so because this is a list of record that is coming from the database, and then the return type is also a list, And if we have created a class to map with the return type, I mean the return data, right? Inside this class or record, we have an ID, first name, last name, and email address. These are the details we want to return. So in this case, so what we are going to do is to map it into our class by writing this query, right? So the select. So user assist dot select, right? Dot select, and then this method is going to you, right? So equals to new. What's the class? Create a user response, right? So then we map the data. However, you can also use if you are the type that like to use automapper, you can also use automapper to do this, right? So but I'm not going to use automapper in this tutorial. I'm going to use that's going to be u dot id equals to is user assist, beg your pardon, it's going to be id equals to u dot id, right? Then next one is first name first name equals to u dot first name, right? So we have last name equals to u dot last name, right? And the last object here is email equals to u dot email. All right. So then it's going to be dot to list. All right, so the error is gone. Don't forget, so we create the database into list of data, and then we select the list of data here, right? So and then we map it to whatever we are returning. That's the list. So let's break it down so that it's be more readable. All right, so and if you are the type that like to use automapper, you can make use of automapper, but I read some things about automapper that is somehow problematic, so I've decided not to be using it. All right, so let's test this application now, right? Run it. All right, that is a build error. What we like to know, let's check. Cannot convert this to dynamic. All right, because we're using dynamic here, it's going to, let's change it. So it's going to take the same thing. It's going to take a list as well, list, then the create or update user response class. So let's run it again. All right, so let's test this endpoint now. So remember what we are returning before now was all the data coming from the database, first name, name, address. We are supposed to include address in that class and then our new response now. So what will be coming out now is the ID, first name, last name, and then the email address. So all these password, hash, and every other thing won't be won't be part of our response. Now let's test it. So the help is here. Step over, step over, step over. So let's check if it will map it into a new response. Yeah, so here we have the response now. So what is we are returning now is just the ID, the first name, last name, and email address. So this is how you can just map your data into a new one or the new response instead of returning all the record coming from the database, right? So you see that we are able to access the endpoint, right, by passing the dataability token. So let's assume that this token is invalid. I will just take out one, take this one out, save, right? Let's call the endpoint again, signed. So you are not authorized. So let's go back to this and then return the letter we will remove and then save and then run it again, right? So then we are able to access the app again. So guys, so we just implemented get all record and see how we can protect our application with JWT token. So the next thing is to implement soft delete, right? So let's try to do that right away. Stop the application, right? So what we're going to do now is let's write so I'm going to copy this, not to waste much of our time. Copy this, right? I'm going to modify this guy, paste it, right? So let's say delete, to delete record by ID. All right, so pass the user ID here, string user ID. All right, so going to do. All right, so go to user dots where. All right, so u equals to u dot id equals to user id. All right, this is going to be the dots first or default async. All right, so if record is null. So however, let's modify this guy, this get or async. Instead of using null, right, you can do dot any. This is faster than checking for null. Dot any, right? Then this is going to be not, right? Right, this does not find any record and then return this guy. So let's go back to our delete record method, right? This, right? Then if this is no, because it's a single record, so dot any will not work here because not a list. So we still check for no record found. Then if there's record is found, right? What I'm going to do here is to return new create or update response. All right, just return empty objects. Then it's not going to be a list. Take out this list, take out the list, right? Okay, everything is okay now. So before I forget, I beg your pardon. So when you are returning fetching record, a list of record, you don't return, for example, this will always return empty your data here will always be null, right? So in this case, you don't return null data, right? So just do service response dot data be equals to enumerable, right? Dot empty, because there is no record, enumerable dot empty, right? So then you now pass your return type to it. Dot to list. That's all. So you're returning empty objects, right? Instead of returning null, you're returning empty objects. So go back to our delete method. Then you search for this, for this, for this. Now, another thing I want you to take note here is dot where and this, right? So, right, this dot where then pass the argument first of defect, and this first of defect pass the argument. They will do the same thing, but one is better than the other. This one is better and is faster in terms of performance, because if there is no need to add extra chain of where, if you are only searching for just a single record. So if you are searching for a record or the condition whereby you are joining record together, so then where might be useful or apply, right? But since it's just one record you're looking at for, so this one we just select top one from this, also from users table, right? Where user is equals to this, but this one would be searching for record. It will look through all the record before I get to the one that's looking at for. But this one with the raw query is select top one, right? So in this case, this is select first of records is faster than using where. So I'm going to take out this, then I will use this, because it's of no use to have extra chain of where to it, right? So search record. So having found the record, then this, what we want to do here is to, after having found the record, so I then want to delete it. It's going to be is user assist dot remove. I beg your pardon. It's going to be db context, not is user assist dot remove. db context dot remove. All right. Then you pass is user assist objects to it. All right. So then call db context dot save changes dot save changes. All right. So this will delete record from the database, right? It will do a permanent delete. Remember, we want to implement a soft delete. And how do we achieve this? With this same remove method, right? What we're going to do now is to go to our appdb context. But before we implement this, so let's go to our user class, then we want to introduce another object called is deleted, right? It's going to be public bool is deleted, right? All right, it's deleted. So if it's deleted, then need to add the data that was deleted. Deleted that. All right, so it's deleted and deleted that. We have introduced two new objects. The status record is deleted and the date that was deleted. So having done that, let's now go to our db context. to write another method because we are going to override save changes method, right? This is what we are going to do. It's going to be public override, beg your pardon, public override, right? Okay, double V is not correct. Yeah, public override. The return type is let's return an integer, right? Save changes. All right, so public override then return base the save changes, correct? Right, so what we're going to do here is let's look through the change tracker, right? For each, all right, for each entry or item, whatever, right? Entry in change tracker dots entries, right? So you pass your user class. All right, having done that, we now check if, right, entry state, entry dots state equals to entity state dot deleted. Right, this is checking that if the change tracker status or tracker state is delete, then do this. If it's deleted, do this. Then entity dot state equals to modify, entity dot state equals to entity dot modify, then entry is going to be entry dot entity dot where is my is deleted equals to true. Yeah. All right, so then the date that was deleted should also be modified, right? Entity entry dot entity dot deleted at then equals to datetime dot now dot utc datetime dot utc now. All right, having done that, so the next thing is to modify our model creating method. So what are we going to add to this model creating method? We're going to add model builder dot entity and then the user. So the user class is going to be dot has query, beg your pardon, dot as query filter. All right, and the query filter is going to be query filter is going to be dot what is the entity that represent is deleted, right? Is deleted. All right, so this will make our data to be available globally. Only data that is not deleted, right? That's when it should be available when creating a database. All right, so we are going to see how this works in action now, right? All right, so for us to see this in action, I'm going to comment out this. We'll come back to it, right? So let's complete our integration. So let's call our delete endpoint from our controller level and then add it to account interface. All right, this account, copy this. All right, take it to your interface. All right, so it should be available from our controller now. All right, so let's go to our account controller, copy this, just duplicate it. Then so what's the name of the record? The name of the record is delete record by ID. So it's going to be delete, then slash this, then you have the user ID. All right, pass the user ID here. It's going to be string user ID. All right, then you pass the user ID here. All right, so this is what's the response type, right? Still greater. Oh, it's not going to be a list, right? Remove the list because we are just returning response that it has been deleted. Let's cross check can surface. So it gets a record, delete record. Then so after it has been removed, then return successful. All right, so let's test it. All right, go to trailer. All right, so beg your pardon. All right, so need to change this. So go to account controller. All right, from account controller, this is not get, it's going to be http delete. All right, restart the application. So go to Postman, go add request, delete record. All right, just copy this. All right, paste this, change this to delete. All right, so let's check the controller. We have delete, then user ID. So it's going to be delete, then pass the / user ID. Let's grab any of the user here. All right, so let's grab this. All right, then / this. Okay, I have a breakpoint on the method already. So let's see it in action. You are not authorized. So go to authorization and ready from parent. This simply means the token has expired. So we have to log in again to grab a new token. Let's grab login. Oh, there is an error. Invalid column name deleted at. Okay. All right. So beg your pardon. We need to run a migration so that the two objects that we added would reflect on the database. Stop the application from running. Right. Go to your package manager console. Right. All right. So I'm going to run this command. Add migration. Then let's give it the name delete field. All right, add migration delete field, add -migration. not.hyphen migration delete field, right? Migration bit succeeded. All right, migration then successful, then update database. Successful. So you can now run the application now. So let's run it and try to get a new token. All right, so in my own case, I think I set the token to expire every 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, you have to grab another token, right? So let's just check. So to undo token expiration after 15 minutes, so if you're a front-end person, what we do is to implement a refresh token. So just look out for my next video to see how we can implement a refresh token. New JWT token has been generated. All right, copy it, then take it to your collection base, replace it with this, save, then you can now go and delete the record now. So let's give it a try. All right, so we have it here, we have it here, we have it here. So now let me put a breakpoint on this save changes override, right? So let's see how it works, right? So the minute you got that save changes, right, we have our breakpoint here, right? Step over, step it, step over. Look at it. It's like now the chain tracker saying the entry state is deleted, then it will execute this guy. So now you have successfully deleted the record. It has successfully implemented soft delete on the record. So well, let's go to the database and check. All right, web API. Going to switch to this, right? So name of the data. All right, see is it. Then let's select off from this guy. So we have this record, and we implemented this delete. I mean, the user we deleted is this div, right? Let's check the status. Let's check the data is deleted. So look at it, is deleted equals to true, which is 1, right? So let's fetch the record from the database. Let's get all the user, right? Get a user, continue. So despite that, we have deleted all the record, right? We are still getting all the 2 records we have in the database. So now let's go back to the application. Right, stop the app from running. Go to your app.db context. So you see this guy, right? This is where this come to play, right? So this will filter the record that has been deleted. So let's just enable it and then run the application again. Then we're going to get the record called get all user record. So say that all the deleted record will not be part of what will be coming out. All right, go to your postman, call get a user again. So the record is here. Just click on continue. All right, you see, so because it has been filtered globally, so we have only just one record that has not been deleted. So guys, this is how you can implement soft delete. In this video, we look at authorization, how we can permit some allow anonymous on some endpoint, and then we also fetch record from the database, and then we also implement soft delete. Please follow for more. If you like this tutorial, please share and follow for more. Thank you. Bye.